Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Spicy Hills Football for Beginners. I'm Gwen.
And I'm Sabrina.
And we're just so delighted to have you with us for another segment.
Today's episode is going to be about the playoffs.
Playoffs? Don't talk about playoffs. You kidding me? Playoffs?
The playoffs start, as we're taping this, start in a couple days. And so we want to just kind of go over what the playoffs are, who gets in, and that kind of thing. So you have a couple of pointers to, throw out there so you can show your football knowledge.
Correct.
So Gwen, first of all, we said how many teams are in the whole NFL to start with?
So let's go back and let's digress for 1 minute.
Okay.
So there are 32 teams in the entire NFL, National Football League. The 32 teams are broken into two conferences, American Football Conference, which is the AFC, and the National Football Conference, which is the NFC. In those two conferences, they're broken down further into 4 divisions on each side. So you have an AFC, East, South, North, and West, and you have an NFC, East, South, North, and West. So this is how the playoffs start off. So you got it now. You got the 32 teams, 16 on each conference, 4 in each division within the two conferences. So you can take it away from here, Sabrina.
Okay, so basically what she's saying is there are, 16 teams in each conference. So imagine 16 teams on this side in a column and 16 in this side in a column. And what happens is the 4 teams that have the best record in each grouping, in each division, gets to go to the playoffs. So that's 4 from here and 4 from here. Then they usually take 2 more from each side who have the next best record no matter what conference or no matter what division you're in. And then those next 2 teams go from each side. So it will be 6 and 6, 12 teams total. But this year they decided to add 1 more team from each side. So now there's 7 teams from the AFC and 7 from the NFC. So you have your 4 division leaders from each side, and then 3 more and 3 more with the next best record. So those top 14 teams go to the playoffs. The other teams are home for the season. Bye-bye.
So it's very important for these teams in all the divisions are vying for the number 1 place within the conference. Because the number 1 seed in the conference gets a week off. Like they don't play the first week of the playoffs. So not only are they trying to be the first team in their division, but ultimately they want to be the number 1 team within their conference. So and this is called a bye week.
What's called a bye week?
When the top team in each conference doesn't play in the first round of the playoffs, this is considered a bye week for that team. So the 2 teams that are having bye weeks this time are the Kansas City Chiefs and the Green Bay Packers. Kansas City Chiefs or the AFC and the Green Bay Packers from the NFC. They will not be playing this weekend. Everybody else is going to play, but they won't be playing.
So the NFL is different from the NBA. The NBA, they do a series, like the best of 5 games, and then you go on to the next round. NFL is totally different. It's 1 game, and you're
one and done.
So
1 and done. That's what we call it.
Every game is important. Yeah. If you don't win, you go home for the season. So you once you get to the playoffs, you have to keep winning to reach the Super Bowl.
So now you understand how 1 through 4 gets to go from each conference. So let's explain how 5 through 7 is chosen. 5 through 7 in each conference is just whoever had the best record within the conference, besides 1 through 4. So in the NFC conference this time, there was the Bucks at 5. Then you had the Rams at 6. And then you had the Bears at 7.
Yes.
And on the NFC side, Sabrina, who were the 3 teams?
And the AFC, the number 5 seed is the Baltimore Ravens. The 6th seed is the Cleveland Browns, which they have not been in a long time. And the 7th seed is the Indianapolis Colts. So like Gwen said, the top 4 teams in each conference are the ones who won their grouping, their division. And then after that, whoever has the best record left after that, the next 3 in each conference get in. And it's actually possible for the 5th, 6th, or 7th team to have a better record than someone who actually won their division. Because what happens is, even if you have kind of a funky record, if you're the best in your grouping, in your division, you still win your division. Like Washington was only 7-9 this year, 7 games won, 9 games lost, but they won their division. So they're the number 4 ranking. They're the number 4 seed in the playoffs. The 5th, 6th, and 7th teams all have better records than Washington, but it doesn't matter. They didn't win their division, so they automatically fall below the top 4.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So, Betty, I was thinking, who's been to the playoff the most and the least?
So I didn't know that, so I had to look it up. Actually, I was curious, and I looked it up. And apparently, as I remember, we were talking about this, and you thought it was the Cowboys, and you were right. The Cowboys and the Packers are tied for the most appearances in the playoffs with 33. So I know the Cowboys fans will be happy about that. And then the team with the least number of appearances is the Houston Texans. And that's only because they've only been around.
Oh, yeah.
They've only been around since 2002. So they haven't had as many opportunities. So 6 times out of, 18 years, that's like every 3 years. You know, not too bad.
Pretty decent.
Yeah. So now you know who's been to the playoffs the most and the least, too. So we talked about earlier that the playoff games are one and done. Like you can't. There's no series, but also playoff games cannot end in a tie. Like in the regular season, the games can end in a tie, even they'll go to 1 overtime, and if it's still a tie, then it just ends in a tie. Not in the playoffs. Somebody has to win. So if they have to do 5 overtimes, they're going to keep going until somebody wins and somebody loses.
Great point. And another advantage of winning the conference is that you will have home field advantage throughout the whole playoffs.
Yes.
So if you came in first place in the NFC, like Green Bay, all games will be played in Green Bay. Mm-hmm. All games in the AFC will be played in Kansas City when you have to face Kansas City. Mm-hmm. There's never, so if say like the Redskins like this week has to play the Tampa Bay Bucks, because we were a higher seed than Tampa Bay Bucks, they have to come to DC. Mm-hmm. So, but if we were playing Green Bay, everybody goes to Green Bay in the NFC. If you have to play Green Bay, you have to go to Green Bay.
Yeah, great point.
And they say the number 1 seed happens to lose, then it's based on who has the best record. So for some strange instance, whatever number 1 Green Bay loses to the Rams, then they'll just go by who you're playing, who has the better record. Mm-hmm. That's how it's set up.
Yeah, so whoever has a better record, the game is played in their stadium.
Which in the past would be a huge advantage because of crowd participation. Seattle is known to have the best and loudest stadium. That's why their fans are called the 12th man, because remember, there are only 11 players on the field. So they call their fans the 12th player or the 12th man. Mm-hmm. But this year, because of COVID, they make artificial noise, and it seems to help sometimes, but we'll see how it pans out in the playoffs.
Yeah, so home field advantage may not be as big of a thing
as it was in the past.
Yeah.
Because you can only make so much artificial noise. But Sabrina, let's just give our students a huge insight really quick. There's always an upset. And the upset is when the highest ranked team is usually always predicted to win because they have a better record.
Right.
But every year there's a huge upset. Mm-hmm. There's an upset where this team was not supposed to win. By hook or crook, they weren't going to win, but they win. Mm-hmm. And who is your upset for this weekend, Sabrina?
This coming weekend, so it's January the 9th and 10th.
Yes.
Man, let me think on that.
But I'm ready with my answer.
Okay, go ahead. You go first.
If I had to predict an upset, it would be the Washington football team beating the Tampa Bay.
I was going to say that, but I didn't want to feel like I was a homer.
No, you have to be honest. If I had to say it, it would be upset. And I'm praying my other upset game. Well, it's not really upset because I'm praying my other upset game is the Ravens can finally beat the Titans.
Yeah, and really, that's not, like she was saying, not much of an upset.
Because they're 4 and 5 right next to each other.
Yeah, the Titans are 4.
Like Washington, Tampa Bay were 4 and 5. Mm-hmm. But everybody has Brady because he's the GOAT. You know, he's been to the most. He's the quarterback that's been to the most Super Bowl appearances. And Tom Brady has been to the playoffs or the Super Bowl at least 10 or more times.
Yes.
So this is why you may say, oh, that can't be an upset because Washington has a high rating. But when you look at our records and you look at the players, a lot of the analysts and a lot of the sports people are predicting the Buccaneers to beat us.
Yes. And so
that's my upset. That's my unofficial upside down upset.
I agree with you on that. But it's funny because Gwen and I both picked the Buccaneers to win this week. But I think it's going to be closer than people think. So we could upset them. So we agree. Yeah, we definitely agree.
Yeah, and on the AFCs, I want to say all those games are pretty cut close. Mm-hmm. But the one game, like the Steelers and the Browns, that's a great game. You can't pick. But everybody has the Titans taking out the Ravens because they did it last year.
Right.
So I'm hoping that Lamar can pull it together and that they can advance this year past the first round.
We shall see.
Great trivia, huh? So there you have it. You know all about the playoffs, and you can sit right down and start watching. Don't forget the soda and the hot wings.
And the popcorn.
I love my hot wings when I'm watching the game.
I know.
Have a great week. Love someone. Bye.
Bye-bye.